In this video, I'm going to show you how to adjust the toe alignment on a 1983 to 1997 Ford Ranger. I want to start this video off by saying that I have no idea what I'm doing, and over the course of a weekend just experimenting and trying things out, I have learned a lot. But I will still be taking this truck in to a professional to get it aligned properly. If you need alignment and you don't know what you're doing, I recommend you do the same. The purpose of this video is to just give you a little bit of basic understanding of how to adjust a toe in case you are at home doing some maintenance on your own, or maybe you installed a lift kit and you need to get the truck to the shop to get it aligned properly. Or worst case scenario, let's say you're out off-roading and you bust a tie rod. You have your friend drive you into town to go buy a new tie rod and you have to do some surgery on the trail. You want to be able to at least get your truck home. So this basic understanding of how to adjust a toe is going to be very helpful. But still, I recommend getting it done by a professional. When I bought this truck, it pulled to the right really hard. And also on the freeway, it's been super sketchy. Here in Spokane, the roads here are trash. I mean, on the freeway, they're super rutted out from people driving with studded tires, and it takes them forever here to do any maintenance. One time they did some trench work on my street and it took them like 6 months. I'm from San Diego, where things get done at night and things are fixed within like 2 or 3 days, but 6 months, the roads here are crap. And so I'm driving this truck around, and every little groove in the freeway, the truck wants to wander, it wants to dart around. It's super sketchy, especially when it's wet or snowy out. So I don't drive this truck very much. My shop is about 5 minutes away from home, and I drive when no one else is on the road because it's kind of sketchy. But I also really like to learn, and I noticed that when I was installing my lift kit and my new tires, that the passenger side tire looked a little bit more toe out than the driver's side did. And so in the spirit of learning and exploration, I decided, well, let's see if I can get the truck driving straighter. Maybe it just needs a little bit of toe in on that passenger side. And so that's the theory I had going into this. Anyway, to adjust the tie rods, you're going to need a few simple tools. You'll need a 15mm ratchet or box wrench. You might want to use an impact gun like I did. If you're fancy, you can get one of these OTC 7023. Is it going to focus? There it is. OTC 7023. It's a universal tie rod adjustment tool. It makes it really easy to turn the adjustment sleeve. Apparently, you can turn the adjustment sleeve if you jack the truck up off the ground, so there's no tension on the tie rods, and you can turn it by hand, but I wanted to see if I could do this with the truck on the ground. Also, you're gonna need a torque wrench to make sure that the sleeve doesn't loosen and it's torqued properly to spec. So since the passenger side was the only one that seemed out of whack, I started there naturally, and I started by loosening the bolts on the adjustment sleeve. I then used a paint pen to mark the sleeve and the threads on the inner tie rod. I also marked what I estimated to be about a quarter turn. As you start to turn the adjustment sleeve, you should notice that the ball joint gives a little before the sleeve starts to turn. So factor that into your adjustment. I ended up turning it a little under quarter turn the first try. I then torqued the bolts down to somewhere between 30 to 42 foot-pounds. That's a really big gap. I don't know why it's that way, but that's what it actually says in the manual. Anyway, I don't really know. I think I torqued it to like 41. Then I went on a road test. It still pulled right. So I adjusted a little more. Still pulled right, and even worse. So here's where I learned a very important lesson. Don't trust everyone on YouTube. When researching for this project, I went online on YouTube and I saw this guy working on an F-150, and he said that on the passenger side, if you turn the sleeve towards the back like this, or if you're looking at from the perspective of the tire, if you turn it counterclockwise like this, that's gonna go toe out. Since I needed toe in, I decided to turn it clockwise, but that ended up making it more toe out. Okay, so in the name of science and exploration, the reason why I was going this direction was because I watched another video on YouTube where he said that going this way would be toe out, but it turns out that going this way is actually toe in. So I'm gonna try again, and we're gonna go another full turn on the adjustment sleeve. So in theory, this piece of paint that you see here is gonna be covered. So let's see what happens. Okay, so that's one full turn, and as I mentioned, that piece of paint there that we saw earlier is now missing. So now we know that it is indeed going this way, and in theory, pulling the tire this direction. Hey, there we go. So that's much better. It's not pulling to the right anymore. It's going relatively straight. The wheel is not quite straight, but at least it's not pulling anymore. So that's a success. I won't bore you with all my adjustment and drive tests. There were several. I think I tried it like 8 or 9 times on the first day before I finally got it to where I was somewhat happy. I think around attempt 7 or 8, I got the truck driving in a straight line, but the steering wheel was like this. So now I had to figure out how to get the wheel straight again. So in the case where the wheel is turned, let's say to the right, like mine was, what you're gonna have to do is adjust your toe so that both tires are going like this towards the right, since the wheel is turned to the right. And what you do is you're gonna put a little bit more toe out on the passenger side and a little more toe in on the driver's side. And it's really important that you get the adjustment the same so that the total toe doesn't change. That can be really tricky. After a few more attempts, I finally got the truck to drive relatively straight with the steering wheel relatively straight. And best of all, I was able to go on the freeway and the truck just cruised. It didn't dart around like it used to. I could take my hands off the wheel and it would still go straight, which was awesome. But I noticed that driving over train tracks or anything bumpy, the bump steer was nasty. I mean, the truck felt worse in that regard. And I noticed before going home that the truck had a lot more positive camber. But by that point, I was over it. I just wanted to go home. And on the way home, with the tires like this, you can imagine when you start to turn, this outside tire is going to pivot way more like that. And so the wheels were screeching like crazy. Just turning left and turning right, it was bad. So I asked my friend and he said, it sounds like you have too much toe in. Here's another way you can test for more toe in. If you back the truck up and it squats in the front and gets lots of negative camber, and when you go forward, it gets really positive camber, you probably have too much toe in. The opposite is true if you have too much toe out. It's going to squat when you go forward and it's going to go positive camber when you back up. So we want a happy medium somewhere in between. So I spent another couple hours the following day getting everything dialed back in so the truck makes turns without the tires complaining. It drives better on the freeway. It doesn't dart as much as it used to, but it still pulls to the right. And I'm pretty convinced that there's probably a bad bushing or a bad ball joint in there somewhere. When I take this truck off road, sometimes when I get off the trail, the truck will feel weird, and then after a while it'll settle. And I noticed that too when I was doing road tests on this. It would drive really nice for about 100, 200 meters, and then I would turn somewhere and then it got all weird again. So there must be something else that's contributing to the weird alignment. And when I tear down the whole front end and change all the bushings and refresh all the stuff, we should have a better idea. And then when I get the alignment done, everything should be nice and pristine. It's good enough for now, and I'm hoping to get everything freshened up pretty soon. And if you follow my channel, pretty soon could be another 2 years. We'll see. I've been driving the truck like this for 2 years already, so I don't know. Anyway, in a follow-up video, I'm going to be playing around with these toe plate thingies. They have little slots on the side so that you can put some tape measures in there to get a little more accurate reading on how much toe in and toe out you have. I didn't use these in this video because I really wanted to see what it was like worst case scenario. You know, you're out on the trail, you break a tie rod, you need to replace your tie rod. Can you get your truck driving pretty okay with just some basic tools? And the answer is yes. So it's good enough for now. It's not awesome. I will be paying someone to fix it, but yeah, I'm gonna do another video on this so you can see how to use these things. Anyway, hope you found this video helpful or at least somewhat entertaining. Again, pay someone to get it done right if you don't know what you're doing. If you want more Ranger content, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave me a comment with a question or whatever you might have, or even, hey, just good job. Because making these videos takes a lot of time. It basically makes a simple project that would take 1 hour into like a 15-hour project. So it's a lot of time, a lot of effort. So I appreciate the support. If you want to support the channel, on any video I make, I'll usually put links to the tools and parts I use in the description with Amazon links. And I'm not sponsored or anything, but Amazon gives me a little bit of a kickback whenever you buy using those links. It doesn't cost any extra to you, but it really, really helps to support the channel. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.